How'd you guys like that? Well, I will, before we bring on everyone up to talk about the films, the filmmakers that are here, if you have friends that weren't able to come here, this movie is now going to be streaming on Tubi soon-ish. I don't know, but they announced it recently on their Facebook, so make sure that you guys follow Bayview Entertainment and Fred Heads the documentary. But let's bring up the cast and crew that we have here of Fred Heads and Mr. David J. Stieve, the writer-director behind. Wait for it. Also, I'm gonna during this Q&A, we're teaming up with the Fred Head lovely ladies here to test your trivia to see how worthy you are of the Fred Head title. We've got some cool giveaway stuff. I've got a bunch of bodies posters to give away. So, what's going on?
Hey.
How are you guys? I only have one microphone, so it's going to be interesting.
It's making me loud.
All right, so again, QR code will lead you guys to podcasts that we have done with David and Paige for Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, and Nightmare 3, Dream Warriors. It's a long title, so we're just going to shorten it down. But all right, let's go ahead and introduce you guys yourself and your role in the film.
I am Paige Troxell. I'm the creator and director of Fred Heads the documentary, and I'm also one of the cast members.
I am Kim Gunzinger, and co-director, co-producer, and also one of the cast members.
Hello, how's everyone doing? All right. Jeremy Todd Moorehead, and a producer?
Producer.
Yeah, okay. I'm a producer and one of the cast members of the film, and I'm excited to pass the microphone to David. This is kind of a surreal moment for me. I've been a huge fan of David's for over a decade. He created one of the greatest slasher films of the past 20 years, in my opinion. And it's many other people's opinion as well. Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. So he didn't let it go though. I'm gonna pass the microphone to you. Wait for it. Premiered was amazing and hilarious, and I just did your intro for you. I'm sorry.
You know this is a screening of your movie.
No.
Jeremy Todd Moorehead, everyone. And David J. Stieve, the writer, producer, director on Wait For It, my little passion project about survivor girls dealing with life when their killer's not around. And it's, I want to say thanks to Josh and to Victims and Villains.
Yeah.
Perfect. We respect you and keep it out. It's really good. So thanks for hosting.
Yep. So what I think is really interesting about having both of you guys, did you guys like Final Gasp? That made it to U.S. premiere here today. What do you guys think?
That was fun.
All right, all the way from Portugal. So make sure that you guys follow. The director has a lot of great content on YouTube for if you guys are interested. But what I like about the fact that you guys' films played back to back is they juxtapose everything so well to where, David, your film talks about the mentality of surviving a brutal attack, whereas embracing the victim story, whereas you guys are dealing with obviously Freddy Krueger, the killers, and kind of the fandom. David, you guys obviously preceding this, as Mr. Moorehead said, it's all about it was Leslie Vernon, and so now we're kind of flipping those expectations, and we're focusing on the survivor girl, as the film refers to it. But what made you want to tell her story over continuing Leslie's?
I think that, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I talk really loud. I think that, number one, it was sort of a crazy idea that I felt as a screenwriter I needed to improve my toolbox. So I needed to get out and direct the film. That it was important for my development in that sense. But I've always been drawn to a final girl type heroine. Personally, I think that's where the genre is going. At least the slasher genre that we know of, everything that's been happening in the last 5 to 10 years. I think there's been a renewed and earnest and deserved focus on the female side of a slasher killer. I mean, somewhere along the line, it became about the killer being the hero of the film, as we see with Nightmare. But I think there's something that's happening with the Laurie Strodes and the female heroines of these stories that I'm excited about. What I wanted to explore though was, just because someone has survived an attack from a killer, what is she doing like on a Tuesday in March? What is her life like? And it speaks to, I think, what Horrific Hope and Victims and Villains about is that this is a really traumatic, stressful thing, but for most people who are suffering from any kind of anxiety or distress or PTSD or anything like that, mental health is largely a silent issue and it's invisible. And most of our days are spent trying to hide it or just pretend it's not there or live with it constantly on your shoulder, and nobody else sees it. And I think what I wanted to explore with Darcy was, is she imagining things? Is it real? Is there someone hiding? Is her killer coming back? Is she even seeing what she thinks she's seeing? And how does it affect our perception of her? So it was just kind of a really brief study of what does it mean to be living with your demons in the quiet moments where you don't want to talk about it and you don't need immediate help. So that was kind of cool.
Thank you for your kind words on our festival. But I think that's one of the things that really drew me to wait for it and having it in our lineup. Originally, it was supposed to be just a Virginia premiere, and when we went to podcast, we ended, and his producer was like, actually, it's going to be the world premiere. So you guys are the very first people to ever see this film. So my question for you guys is, obviously there are so many slasher icons that you guys can kind of pick from, but it's kind of like a abbreviated, like, why Freddy Krueger?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Alright, cool. I think for us, Freddy was a no-brainer because it's what connected us. All of our friendships have been so integral and formed through A Nightmare on Elm Street. We met at conventions or online in forums, and it really truly is like the hub of our little family. So for us, it was just kind of a no-brainer. We were like, we know the stories in the community, we hear them all the time, how these people say it's like a survival story for them. And so why don't we tell their stories? Why don't we tell our stories? We have interesting stories to share. And that's how it formed when we were in Jeremy's basement and rolled on him and he talked about throwing the rocker.
Yeah.
On
There's actually pictures of the first time that I met Robert where my fingers weren't working like I talked about in the movie. There's a progression of pictures that I'll have to post. There's one where I'm actually looking at my hand like, why are you doing this to me? So as far as my attraction towards Fred Heads and us pursuing that, he was the first for me. He was the gateway into not only horror, but my love of film to begin with. And, like we discussed in the movie, it was absolutely what brought us all together. We would have never met had it not been for Freddy Krueger, so.
Specifically,
Yeah.
Freddy Krueger.
Specifically, Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
All the mini Freddy Kruegers, right?
I think it's because we live all across the country too, and that's the thing is that this community and going to these conventions, they're like an adult summer horror camp for us. And so it's kind of great that like, Kim was here in the DC area and in Ohio and stuff like that, and Jeremy was here in the DC area, and I lived in Chicago. And so we would have never met had we not connected at that convention.
Yeah, and when we did make those connections, I mean, it started off just kind of, oh, see you at the next convention, and then it started, oh, hey, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? Let's spend Friendsgiving together, and, we just started forming, like, stayed like a family, and it really was strong, and I mean, personally, I didn't even know conventions existed until I saw that article of Meet Robert, so, thank you, Robert.
They introduced me to my husband, so, without them, I wouldn't even have met my husband.
Which today is Dave's birthday, so happy
Well, I think, we talked at length about the mental health, especially not only of the franchise as a whole, but also the exploration of all the characters and Dream Warriors. And I highly suggest checking out that episode, not to do self-promotion, but it got a lot deeper than I was ever anticipating. I think that might be one of the deeper conversations we've had on Biscaying. But yeah, so we're gonna do some trivia real quick. Is that cool with you guys? All right, so I'm actually gonna kick it over. We're gonna do kick it off with some Leslie Vernon trivia.
Bring it on.
All right, so you.
Wait, I'm answering
Yeah,
this?
no, you have to give the questions away.
Okay.
All right, you got a question in mind?
You want me to come up with the Leslie Vernon trivia question right now?
Yeah.
What are Leslie's pets' names?
Tough one. About on that one, yeah.
Very beginning of the movie, he's got 2 pet turtles.
Oh, that's a deep cut question.
Okay.
I just watched that movie like 2 weeks ago.
It was borrowed from a Stephen King novel. From Pet Cemetery, is that what you said back there?
Yeah.
So you know who we're talking, you know what they are?
Yeah. I can't remember the pets' names, but I know they're the pets from Pet Cemetery.
That's correct, Church and Zoe.
Yeah.
All right, well, come down here and grab a bodies poster. Do you want one? I have a lot of.
You want a prize.
3404.
You want a
Yeah. You are the de facto winner. Are you saying you don't want a Leslie Vernon?
No, I don't. I mean, hey, look at my shirt.
Lots of these. Yeah, I was hoping that David would see that, so.
Which there's a parallel from the artwork on your shirt and Fred Heads is that Nathan Thomas Milliner did that artwork and he's also in the film, so
Oh, wait.
look at that.
All right, well, you guys are up. Give us a question.
All right, so, you wanna ask a question?
I can ask a question.
You ask a question.
Okay. Oh yeah, I guess I don't need one,
Your
but
voice is scary.
it's all.
In the original, I just turned it back on. We're good. In the original Nightmare on Elm Street, the person playing a doctor voiced a very famous cartoon character that was one of the first movies to amazingly blend animation and live action acting. Do you guys know the cartoon character that the doctor from A Nightmare on Elm Street voiced?
Was it Roger Rabbit?
Boom! Charles Fleischer was a doctor in A Nightmare on Elm Street, and he voiced Roger Rabbit.
Thanks.
You wanna ask a question?
I don't know if I want it. Do I need to ask another question?
I got one.
Okay.
Yeah.
True or false? True or false question. Originally, they wanted David Warner to play the role of Freddy Krueger.
True.
Who said it first? True? Nope. Alright, next question. I have one last question.
I got one for Leslie that ties it into Fred Heads, so I don't know the technical term. You're gonna have to guide me with the answer. What is Robert Englund's character from Behind the Mask referred to by Leslie?
Oh, so Robert Englund's character in Behind the Mask, Leslie Vernon refers to Robert's character by an industry term. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
Also a Moby Dick reference.
Also a Moby Dick reference. Yes.
Nobody has it, I have it.
You can answer it.
Ahab, right?
Ahab.
All right. Up here winning prizes.
Alright, so we have one final one, and the winner of this one will get everything that's in this bag. It's a signed DVD of our limited edition sunglasses, a pin, and a bag. And so,
Plus the body
and a plus body bag. What Oscar winner got her start in A Nightmare on Elm Street sequel?
Patricia Arquette.
Yes.
And then, we also have some Fred Heads posters that we will have out in the lobby for you guys if anybody wants a Fred Heads poster. So.
These are authorized posters for Wait For It if you guys want. So just come see him. We're gonna take a 10-minute break, and then we're gonna come back with the hold on to your lunch, which might may or may not challenge your stomachs.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.